Hello, everybody. This is John Paval with Access Arts Live and your weekly roundup of big stage live streams, orchestral and operatic productions, and ballet and theater when we have some of that as well for the week of February 9th to February 16th, 2026. We are well on our way into this new year. We have plenty of action for you coming to you this week. You can enjoy orchestras from London to Detroit, from Boston to Berlin, and opera from Ferrari, Italy to Hamburg, Deutschland, and more. And I'm here to tell you about the more. Before I go any further, let me remind you, if you like this kind of programming, do yourself a favor, follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live, absolutely free of charge, on Facebook, YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, or LinkedIn, and we'll make sure you get more than 1,000 live links to live performances of all kinds each year. This week's live stream action starts out on Thursday and Friday with a Finnish triple header. So let me get right to telling you all about them because there's so much to tell you about this week. We start out on Thursday, February 12th, the Lahti Symphony Orchestra in Finland live streams a celebration of the storied Finnish conductor Otto Kamu for his 80th anniversary, with Kamu conducting Sibellius's A Saga and his Seventh Symphony, and he's joined by relatively younger pianist Ossi Tanner for Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto No. 1. That'll be at 5:30 in the evening, European time, 6:30 in Lahti, Finland, 11:30 in the morning on the East Coast, 8:30 in the morning on the West Coast. Otto Kamu began his career as a phenomenally talented violinist ages ago, back in the 1960s. He won the Herbert von Karajan competition in Berlin as a conductor for the first time in 1969. He has led a number of Scandinavian orchestras over the years, including the Lahti Symphony Orchestra. He's done over 100 recordings. And when he was the principal conductor of the Lahti Symphony for about a decade, they recorded all of Sibelius's symphonies. Well, Lahti is connected to Sibelius. So, and he is a recipient of the Order of the Line of Finland medal. So if you have any curiosity about what is Finnish classical history, he's a big part of it. Ossi Tanner, he's a young guy, born 1997. So he's still in his 20s, I think. I think he lived when he was younger in the United States, actually, because he's got a master's degree from the Manhattan School of Music, and he also studied at the Sibelius Academy. So he's gone up and back. He's played with all of the top orchestras in Finland, principally the Helsinki Finnish Radio, the Tampere Philharmonic. He's worked with all these top Finnish conductors like Sakari Ramo, Hannu Lintu, Klaus Michaela, etc. So it's a very Finnish evening, Thursday evening, up there in Lahti. Enjoy. Now, at the same time, at 5:30 in the evening on Thursday, you have another Finnish orchestra live streaming. Would you like to dance to Mahler's Fifth Symphony in C# minor? Are you that much of a fan? Finnish dancer and artist Katerina Torp will show you how Thursday, February 12th, as conductor Holly Cho leads the Tapiola Sinfonietta through this Mahler masterpiece. People who love Mahler, they really love Mahler. That's at 5:30 in the evening, European time, 11:30 in the morning on the East Coast, 8:30 in the morning on the West Coast. If you know about mirror neurons, do you know about mirror neurons? Mirror neurons are these neurons you have in your brain. And when you see someone physically doing something, that activates in your brain via the mirror neurons the same brain cells which would be activated if you were doing those movements yourself at a lower level of energy. So you're not actually doing the movement. That's why monkeys have mirror neurons. That's why you have monkey see, monkey do. Anyway, so you might really get something out of watching this concert. Not only do they have Katerina Torp, who is a well-known Finnish dancer and artist, but they have a scenographer, Jonas Tikkanen, and a director, Siljamara Heikinheimo. This is a quality orchestra. Then I also want to mention to you that also on Thursday evening, there is one of the two operas this week. I'll say a little bit more about them toward later on in this program. There's not time for me to thoroughly cover an opera when I'm doing these brief descriptions like this. There are too many people in it. But the Elphilharmonie up in Hamburg, Germany, will be live streaming Handel's Julius Caesar in Egypt. But the orchestra will be the Il Pomodoro Chamber Orchestra. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on in the program. Then on Friday, you have your third Finnish live stream this week. And that'll be the last of the Finns this week. Friday the 13th, Hannu Lintu leads the Helsinki Phil in Tchaikovsky's Voyevoda, Opus 78. Contemporary composer Saul Zinovjev's Taste of Metal, and in Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto in D Major, Opus 35, with the young rising star Swedish violinist Daniel Lozakovich along for the ride. Sounds like a Russian name, but he's Swedish. He was born, he's only 25 years old, but he's a real rising star. He had his concert debut when he was only 9 years old in Moscow, so I guess there is a Russian connection there. Was signed by Deutsche Grammophon when he was only 15 years old in 2016, and Deutsche Grammophon does do that. They go out and they find these young rising stars, and he's already released 5 albums as of 2024. There might be another one since then. So, he was also featured with, let me get this right. His second album was called None But the Lonely Heart, and it had Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto in it. And Mark Pullinger from Gramophone said this was the top recording of this concerto in 70 years of best recordings of it. So this could really be a really fine performance of Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto in D Major on Friday evening. He was, by the way, if you watch the opening ceremony when they reopened Notre Dame de Paris in Paris, he performed along with the Philharmonic Orchestra of Radio France with the terrific Gustavo Dudamel conducting. So now, so this looks like it'll be in Hannu Lintu. She's the chief conductor with Gulbenkian Orchestra, but she's from Finland and obviously gets back there to conduct now and again. Now, note, this is at 6 p.m. in the evening on Friday, okay, at European time, noon on the East Coast, 9 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. So 2 hours later, you can watch this concert and also watch the next one coming out from Frankfurt. And I have completely forgotten to change pictures as I've been going along doing this. Well, my apologies to everybody for having failed to change this. Let me just show you briefly. I can show you here. This is Holly Cho and Katerina Torp, who are with the Tapiola Sinfonietta doing that Mahler's Fifth with dance. And after that, the third Finnish concert is Daniel Lozakovich and Hannu Lintu on Friday. This is the guy, Daniel Lozakovich, who is said to have done, by Gramophone, said to have done the best recording of the concerto he's going to be playing in the last 70 years. Okay, so now let's move on to the Frankfurt Symphony, which will be on 2 hours later. So you can see both of these concerts on Friday if you just want to hang out and enjoy And this Frankfurt Symphony concert is going to be fun. The always enjoyable piano playing brothers Lucas and Arthur Jussen will be lighting up the concert hall with the Frankfurt Radio Symphony, led by Oskar Jockel in Schubert's Fantasy in F minor for piano, 4 hands, and Benjamin Britten's Scottish Ballad for 2 pianos and orchestra, 2 pianos. Also on this more than lively program, Oskar Jockel's own Asche ist weiß, and Claude Debussy's Je, and Alexandre Scriabin's Le Poème de l'Extase, the poem of ecstasy. Wow, what a program, what a program. These guys, Lucas and Arthur Jussen, they're always a lot of fun. They're playing all over the place with everybody. They're terrific. They've been signed with Deutsche Grammophon since 2010 when they were very young. Deutsche Grammophon goes out there and beats the bushes. The conductor Michael Schönwandt had this to say about these 2 guys after he conducted them in a concert. He said, "It's like driving a pair of BMWs." So a lot of fun. They've been artist in residence at the Monte Carlo Orchestra last year. I don't know if they're still there. As for Oskar Jockel, he's a conductor and a composer. He was the assistant conductor with the Berlin Phil under Kirill Petrenko for a couple of years, 2022 to 2024. He was also for 2 years, 2021 to 2023, assistant conductor with the Ensemble Intercontemporain in Paris. So he's moving up in the world. And will it not be interesting to see him conduct his own work? Wow, what a Friday. And that's not all there is Friday, because then another 6 hours later, there's another concert you can enjoy. You can spend your whole day watching terrific symphonic concerts this Friday. Okay, the near legendary Benjamin Zander leads the Boston Phil in Bruckner's 7 symphonies, something they don't play very often in Boston, and in Mozart's Piano Concerto No. 20, Koschel 466, with top pianist, who's also a conductor, Christian Bezuidenhout, making his Boston Philharmonic debut. That's at 8 o'clock in the evening, Boston time. So it's 6 hours after the Frankfurt Radio Symphony is playing at 8 o'clock in European time. And 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 2 o'clock in the morning here in Europe. Stay up late for it after the other concerts, the 2 other symphonic concerts Friday evening in Europe. And noon down under in Australia on Saturday. Christian Bezuidenhout began his studies of music in Australia, but then finished up at the Eastman School in New York. He's got a discography of over 30 albums, mostly for Harmonia Mundi, which include the complete keyboard music of Mozart. So if he's playing Mozart's Piano Concerto No. 20, he knows what this is, okay? And for that album, he got a Diapason d'Or de l'Année award, album of the year. He got the album of the year, the Jahrespreis der Deutschen Schallplattenkritik. I love saying that. The annual award of the German recording critics, and a Cecilia Prize. He also recorded the complete piano concertos of Beethoven with Freiburg Orchestra, etc. As for Benjamin Zander, he created the Boston Phil, this is not the Boston Symphony Orchestra, the 2 different ones that they have in Boston, and he has legendary status there and near legendary status everywhere else in the world. If you ask me, and of course I'm nobody, but if you ask, that's what I'll tell you. And once again, I forgot to change over to the picture, so you'd see the right. I was feeling so calm and collected today before starting this, and here I am, just right and left, not showing you these people's pictures, which were prepared in advance. None of this stuff is improvised. It's not. Well, my talking is improvised, but everything else you see is not. It's all a result of a lot of hard work. So there you see Benjamin Zander and Christian, whose name I find so difficult to pronounce. but let me pronounce it correctly. These things don't flow naturally off the tongue. Christian Bezuidenhout. I hope I pronounced that correctly, Christian. Forgive me if I didn't. And we then move on to Saturday, Valentine's Day, when there's another series of live streams for you to enjoy. There's just so much going on this weekend. And the first one is one that you usually don't hear that much about. It's a Russian orchestra, but it's not the Moscow Phil, the St. Petersburg Phil, or even the Tomsk Philharmonic that people are more familiar with. There he is. There's the man, the youngish man. Saturday, Valentine's Day, February 14th, you can start your day with a live stream of Nordic composers, Nielsen, Grieg, and Sibelius, played by the North Caucasus Philharmonic under the baton of Igor Mokarov, who usually is the conductor of the Tapiola Symphony Orchestra in Samara, Russia. That's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon European time, the start of your day. 8 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, 5 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast, midnight down under in Australia. So the end of your day. It's Carl Nielsen's Little Suites for Strings, Edvard Grieg's Norwegian Dances, and Sibelius's Symphony No. 1 in E minor, Opus 39. A lot of people playing Sibelius this weekend. Igor Mokarov has won several conducting prizes in Russia, which they refer to as international competitions, but they're competitions in Russia, and he's guest conducting with the North Caucasus Philharmonic. Enjoy. Okay, a little later in the day, you have a chance to hear the Berlin Philharmonic, but that will not be free of charge. The Berlin Philharmonic does not give it away. They charge you €10 and 9 euros and 90 cents to enjoy their concerts. But it's always really sterling quality concerts, as this will reveal. The Berlin Phil offers another of its high quality live streams on Saturday, February 14th, as top conductor Pavel Järvi conducts top pianist Lang Lang in Ravel's well-loved piano concerto in G major, followed by Hans Roth's Symphony No. 1 in E major. He was a familiar of Bruckner and Mahler and Brahms, whose life could not have ended more poorly. That's at 7 in the evening, European time, 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast, 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. Lang Lang will probably do something lovely. There's a long piano solo that starts the second movement of that Ravel concerto. And you could, if you really love piano playing and solo piano, you look forward to hearing that. This symphony by Hans Roth, it's his Symphony No. 1 in E major. It's the only symphony he came up with. He studied with Anton Bruckner, who said, quote, "You will hear great things from this man," unquote. He was classmates with Gustav Mahler, who did achieve great things. And after he completed this first symphony, he showed it to Brahms, and Brahms said it sucked. He said it wasn't any good. And this was demoralizing for him. And then he failed to get a scholarship that he needed to continue his studies. So he decided to leave Vienna, where all this is happening, and to take a job as a choir director outside of town. But he's in the train, and a passenger on the train went to light a cigarette. And Roth, for whatever reason, believed that Brahms had planted dynamite on the train, and this was lighting the cigarette was a way of setting off the dynamite, or it could set off the dynamite. And so he pulled a gun on the guy who was going to light a cigarette. He ended up being put in a Viennese psychiatric hospital, never did get out of town, and he died of tuberculosis there when he was 26 years old. Crushed. You'll hear, if you wish, from the Berlin Philharmonic, the piece that he wrote, which Brahms dissed and which led to this guy's dissolution. Okay, let's then move on to the next event. And the next event, there's another opera. I will just put up briefly for you the photos of the two principal singers in this opera just for a second while I tell you. I'm going to have to do I think I'm going to have to do a separate workup of these two operas that are going on this week. This is Valeria Labrotta and Philippe Talbot, who are two of the principal singers in this thing. Opera streaming. The group of Italian opera houses is back live streaming again for the spring with the Teatro Comunale di Ferrara's celebration of the carnival season and its production of Le Carnaval Masquerade Royale. It's to the music of Jean-Baptiste Lully. But I will give you more information about that, I think, in a separate thing, because there's no way to do a workup on all these separate performers and all of that in a reasonable time frame for this collection. So keep track of Access Arts Live, and there will be more later tonight or early tomorrow about these two operas on Thursday and Saturday. And we then move on to the next performance. Where is it? Here it is. I believe this is the next performance. Yes, the Detroit Symphony Orchestra will celebrate Valentine's Day, February 14th, with its beloved chief conductor, Yadar Bignamini, leading top cellist Elisa Weilerstein through a Detroit Symphony Orchestra commissioned concerto composed for Weilerstein to play, and 3 Latin American dances by Gabriela Elena Frank, and Beethoven's Symphony No. 4 in B-flat major, Opus 60. It's Yadar Bignamini conducting again. He's conducting regularly there during this particular time frame. Sometimes he's away conducting operas all over the world because he loves conducting operas. Anyway, I'll say what I always say about Yadar Bignamini when he's got a soloist. It's fireworks. This guy really knows, and I don't know enough about music to know how he does it, but when he's got a soloist and an orchestra, it's a... So this should be great. And Elisa Weilerstein, she's one of the top cellists in the world, and this concerto was written for her by Joan Tower and co-commissioned by the DSO. So Joan Tower is originally from South America. So, Latin American dances, a concerto. The concerto is called A New Day by a composer who came from South America. It's going to be a lively concert. It's going to be fireworks again in Motown in Detroit City on Saturday night. Enjoy it. It's at 8 o'clock Detroit time, 5 o'clock on the West Coast. You folks out there in LA and Seattle, 2 o'clock in the morning here in Europe. We're staying up for, and lovely noon on Sunday down under in Australia. Okay, I think we move on to Sunday's concerts. Yeah, we do. And the first of the concerts on Sunday is way out in Tomsk, Siberia. Conductor Igor Berendeyev boldly leads the Tomsk Philharmonic in Shostakovich's Symphony No. 10 on Sunday, February 15th, a piece which Berendeyev considers full of ruminations which are highly relevant to the state of the world as it is today. You know, this will be at 6 o'clock in the evening in Tomsk, Siberia, which is noon in Europe, 6 in the morning on the East Coast, late night 3 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast in the US if you're staying up late, or 10 o'clock in the evening, Sunday evening down under in Australia, which is not all that far away from Siberia in terms of time zones. The thing about Shostakovich is that so much of his music was rooted in history. I mean, the pieces he was writing in the 30s and like in the 1940s, you know, having to do with the siege of Leningrad and stuff like that, it's just really vital history. And there was another one that was so vital he couldn't put it out because Stalin might have killed him for it, so he didn't bring that symphony out until the 1960s. I think that was the fourth. But anyway, this was composed in 1953. The war is over, and looking forward to what is the world going to be now. So that's that. It's a good symphony. That they live stream on their website. They don't live stream everything on YouTube. They only live stream their organ recitals on YouTube. Next up after that, the London Symphony Orchestra is live streaming. Not on their own nickel or dime, as we would say in America. This is going to be a Stage Plus live stream. So it will cost you €9.90 to watch it. Sunday, February 15th, Gianandrea Noseda, who's the chief conductor of the American National Symphony Orchestra in Washington, D.C., crosses the pond to conduct the London Symphony Orchestra and works by Stravinsky, Chopin, and Borodin, with top Korean pianist Seong-Jin Cho on board for the Chopin. That's Stravinsky's Divertimento from Le Baiser de la Fée, the Kiss of the Fairy, and his Piano Concerto No. 2 in F minor, Opus 21. No, I'm sorry. That's my notes are a mess. And then first they do the Stravinsky Divertimento from Le Baiser de la Fée. Then they'll do Chopin's Piano Concerto No. 2 in E minor, Opus 21, with Seong-Jin Cho on the piano for that. Then they'll do Alexander Borodin's Symphony No. 2 in B minor. This will be at 8 o'clock in the evening on Sunday, European time, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the East Coast, and 11 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. This is not the first time Seong-Jin Cho has played with the London Symphony Orchestra, nor the first time that he's played with that orchestra with Gianandrea Noseda, who's the LSO's principal guest conductor on the podium. They've done this before, and it's a pairing that the LSO people liked. Gianandrea Noseda, he was the chief conductor of the BBC Philharmonic for a decade, starting in 2001. Now he's with, and he's played with the LSO on and off since 2006, and then they made him a principal guest conductor 10 years later in 2016. Besides being the music director of the National Symphony Orchestra, the NSO, at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., he's also the general music director of the Zurich Opera House, and he did a fair amount of he was also a music director of the Teatro Regio Torino, another opera house in Italy, for about a decade. So, steeped in that. Cho's claim to fame is that a decade ago, he won first prize at the Chopin International Competition in Warsaw. Well, for a pianist, that's it. After that, that's the benediction. It's onward and upward. The next year, he was signed by Deutsche Grammophon. I think 3 times in today's discussion of live streams this week, I've talked about Deutsche Grammophon grabbing somebody when they were very young and signing them to an exclusive contract. Last year, he was artist in residence with the Berlin Phil, and this year he's the artist portrait, they call it, with the London Symphony Orchestra. So sounds like a great concert. €9.90, Stage Plus. And then I think I have just one more concert to tell you about, and we're coming down to this 30-minute limit that I impose on myself, because I just can't see that even I would want to listen to me go on and on after one piece after another for more than 30 minutes. So I'll make short work of this one. Okay, Macedonian-born Vanya Gumar Nikolovsky leads the Scottsdale Philharmonic through music by Mendelssohn, the Italian Symphony No. 4, Handel, music for the Royal Fireworks, and Paul Dukas, the Sorcerer's Apprentice, with featured soloist Jennifer Sheldon singing I Could Have Danced All Night from the musical My Fair Lady. That's the Scottsdale Philharmonic, Sunday, February 15th, 4 in the afternoon, Mountain Standard Time. That's 6 o'clock in New York, midnight here in Europe, and 10 o'clock Monday morning down under in Australia. And I've told you all there is to know. Folks, I hope that one more, some, or any of these many live streams this week will inspire you, uplift you, or just show you a heck of a good time. Let me remind you before I sign off, if you like this kind of programming, 90% of which is free of charge. I think there were like 12 that I talked about today, and 2 of them charged for Berlin Philharmonic and the Stage Plus. But everybody else, they're giving it to you free of charge. And people are paying a lot more than that to get in the door to enjoy this. So check them out. And if you enjoy it, do yourself a favor, follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live in order of priority on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, X, Instagram, Threads, or LinkedIn, and we'll make sure you get more than 1,000 live links to thousands and thousands of hours free of charge of orchestras, opera, ballet, chamber music, organ recitals, piano competitions, piano recitals, and more. Thanks for listening. Hey, tomorrow I am going to be interviewed on a podcast, but I don't have all the information in front of me, so I don't think I can give it to you. But we might put a post up on our various pages to let our followers know that I am going to be interviewed tomorrow, Thursday, at 5 o'clock p.m. European time, 11 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, and 8 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast in the United States of America. Ciao for now.